Hello everybody and welcome back to another Guess the Banzuke video, and this one, I don't know if it's going to be that complicated, honestly. We do have a couple of quirks within the Banzuke that should be a little interesting that I do need to probably fact check either now or later. So let's just get started into it. So of course, Teru no Fuji is still the Yokozuna. Kotozakura will be the Ozeki 1 East because he has a better record than Hoshoryu. And then Takakeisho will remain the Ozeki 2. Now, I don't know what side of the Banzuke he's going to be on because, again, there will be a quirk in the Banzuke. There's going to be an additional Sekiwake slot opened up. Firstly, Abi will move up into that Sekiwake 1 East slot, and then Onosato will move up into Sekiwake 1 West, and Kirishima will be demoted to Sekiwake 2. Now, again, I don't know which side is going to have which. I don't know if Takakeisho is going to be on Ozeki 2 East or West, and Kirishima will probably be on the opposite side to reflect that, or maybe they will be both on the same side, and then we will have, obviously the lowest rank on the Banzuke is going to be Maegashira 17 East. It can't only be a Maegashira 17 West, so it's probably going to be Ozeki 2 West, Sekiwake 2 West, and then, because now there's a little bit of a mismatch on the Banzuke, it has to fall to Maegashira 17 East. Again, I don't know. I will have to fact check that later. I don't fully remember all of the quirks of the Banzuke, but this is generally how it's going to fall when it comes to how the sanyaku ranks look. Until we get to the next section, which I am going to start labeling guys as winners and losers. Asanoyama, Wakamoto Haru, Takayasu, unfortunate, gets his losing record. Takeru Fuji will be demoted down to the second division. Do not think he won't, mathematically speaking, and because losers generally will have a further fall. I'm not sure if there's any math to back that kind of thing up, but generally losers will fall further down the Banzuke, losers through absences will fall further down the Banzuke than your average. If you were to fight all 15 days and go 0-15, he wouldn't fall as badly, basically. I don't know if there's any math to back up that idea, but I do believe that is how it works. So let's also take a look at guys that will be coming up from the Juryo division. We have a lot of strong records here. Endo, Chiyoshoma, Wakataka Kage. We will be seeing Busho's on return as well, so let's highlight these guys in blue, and maybe even Kageyaki, but so we're going to be jumping around a little bit. Let's do the Juryo demotions first. First, it's obviously going to be Tsurugisho, Tomokaze, Mitoryu, of course, as well. Nishiki Fuji might be saved, but again, with the 0-15 from Takeru Fuji, he will also be falling way down, and that will make room for Bushozan, Endo, Chiyoshoma, Wakataka Kage. Question is, will Kageyaki move up as well? And if he does Nishiki Fuji fall down? We'll come back to that question later, because you could also make the case for Toki Hayate falling down with a 6-9, but we'll see how the rest of the Banzuke falls before we do that. So, first things first, our two Komusubi are going to be Daieisho, which it seems like a bit of a snub that he's only moving up to Komusubi, but it is fair. It has happened to him before, actually, but that is what's going to be happening to Daieisho. He will only move up to Komusubi despite the 11-4 Junior Yusho, and I can actually click on his name and show you the last time that happened was, let me see, where was it? It was more recently, because I remember it. Here it is. The 13-2 Yusho moves up from Maegashira 1 to Komusubi 2. And the reason why is because, if we want to look at those Banzuke, everyone in the sanyaku had winning records. And Daisho could not displace anybody, so he only moved up to komusubi. And again, because he couldn't leapfrog into sekiwake or anything, getting 10 wins from Maegashira 1 will open up a sanyaku slot for yourself. But because nobody else in the sanyaku moved out of those ranks, only Daisho moved up 1 rank with a 13-2 Yusho. Sucks for him, and it sucks that it is going to be happening again, but that's the way the cookie crumbles for Daisho. Hirado Umi, because Atami Fuji lost on day 15, because Takayasu kind of fell apart those last few days, and because Takayasu took a week off in the middle of the tournament, Takayasu does not move up to komusubi, and from here, the next closest winner is Meisei, and he's definitely not going to leapfrog into komusubi. He will be occupying Maegashira 1 at the very least. Now, Wakamoto Haru, with a 4-11 record, it's hard to say how far he will fall, but for now, I'm going to put him outside here like Maegashira 2, because 4-11 from Sekiwake is really harsh, but if we want to query the Banzuke real quick, we can actually see Sekiwake 4-11. Generally, Maegashira 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It looks like the median is around Maegashira 4, but in this case, there are a lot of losers around the top, and I don't think Mitakayumi is going to jump up 6 ranks with a winning record, you know what I mean? So Atami Fuji could realistically move down a half of a rank here, and then the next closest guy to fill in would be Wakamoto Haru, and then that's where it gets awkward again, because Asanoyama is going to fall way down, probably to Maegashira 10. We can actually look up again, komusubi with 0 wins and 15 losses. No komusubi has ever fought all 15 days and lost all 15 days, so we have to go into some odd-looking records. But if we go to the most recent, 0-15 from komusubi, Maegashira 9, Maegashira 12, Maegashira 10, Maegashira 10. So between Maegashira's 9 through 12 for Asanoyama is probably where he's going to be falling. Then where do we put who moves up to Maegashira 2? I guess Mitakayumi, and then after that, someone like Gonoyama is not going to fall that far. Takayasu has a 7-8, so he could realistically stay in the same rank here, or they could be very kind to Wakamoto Haru and have him move down to Maegashira 1, slot Atami Fuji at Maegashira 2, but that still doesn't answer the question of who occupies this Maegashira 2 slot. So this is where the first real hiccup of the Banzuke is going to be, and truthfully, I don't see anyone in a comfortable enough range to really make it up there. Like, let's check out Maegashira 7, 8, and 7. So Maegashira 7, 8, and 7, and realistically, Mitakayumi is the only one that could pull it off. And well, look at that. It has happened before in the 80s and 90s. A bunch of guys would go up to Maegashira 1, and even as recently as 2005, Hokutoriki. Maegashira 2 happens a lot more often than I would have expected. Toyonoshima, the most recent one, or Tochiozan, looking like the most recent one in 2018. So it does look like Maegashira 2 is not off the table for someone like Mitakayumi. So I think we can be comfortable enough to slot him right up there. After that, we have to have Gonoyama and Tobizaru fall. So Takanosho slotting in right here, Koto Shoho right next to him. I think that's okay. It does look like a gross over promotion, but it works because they're all former guys that were up by the top. Mitakayumi, former Ozeki, Takanosho, former Sekiwake, Koto Shoho, career high of, I think, Maegashira 2 or 3. So these guys are no strangers to these positions, so I think it's okay to put them in these positions. After that, though, this is where we're going to need to slot in these Maegashira 4s. Onosho sitting at Maegashira 5, Uda at 7 and 8 here. This is where it might get a little tricky because we do have to slot Gonoyama down a few ranks. We do have to slot Tobizaru down a few ranks. So maybe Gonoyama only falls 1 rank next to Takayasu. Tobizaru falls a half of a rank. Uda could even stay the same rank with his 7 and 8. Onosho could also realistically stay the same rank with his 7 and 8. And then we have Meisei leaping up, Midori Fuji 5 and 10, Nishikigi 5 and 10. And then again, the only realistic people we could slot here are Takanosho and Koto Shoho, because 9 and 6 from Shonan no Umi is not going to leapfrog Takanosho and Koto Shoho. I don't believe. They could, definitely, but I don't believe that will happen. That I would say that these are fair demotions as well. And Uda, Onosho being at the same rank from 7 and 8, I think that slots in perfectly fine. We could see something like Takanosho and Koto Shoho over Uda and Onosho, so I'll make a note of that there. Taka/Koto over Uda Ono. Because realistically, Uda and Onosho could both fall 1 rank. We slot Takanosho and Koto Shoho above them. But again, Maegashira 8 and 7 moving up that far, and you know, we have seen in the past 7 and 8 do sometimes keep the same rank. So this is going to be a really tricky guess. This is going to be super tricky to try to navigate. So there's a good argument for both camps. You can have Takanosho and Koto Shoho over Uda and Onosho because, you know, they had losing records. They can fall. Takanosho and Koto Shoho need to keep moving up. They had winning records. Or Uda and Onosho had 7 and 8. They could stay in the same spot. And Takanosho, Koto Shoho slotting right underneath them. That works. That fits. The real dude getting saved here is Wakamoto Haru, only falling down to Maegashira 2. Now, I don't believe he will fall any further because I don't think they will promote someone like Takanosho and Koto Shoho over Wakamoto Haru, and that would also mean over Gonoyama, Tobizaru, Uda. So I know I just took a look at it, but I do want to take another look. Komusubi with 4 wins. If we want to look at the most recent results, Maegashira 4, Maegashira 5, Maegashira 3, Tamawashi, Maegashira 2, Maegashira 4. But why am I doing Komusubi? He was a Sekiwake. That was stupid of me. So that does change things. So Sekiwake with 4 wins. Most recently, Maegashira 5, 4, 4, 4, 5, 3, 3. So that doesn't happen too often. Maegashira 2, the last time that happened was Hayate Umi, who went 4, 5, and 6. The time before that, Asahi Fuji in 1986. So that would be kind of setting its own precedent. Maegashira 2 not happening that often, especially in recent years, but it's hard. Maybe Wakamoto Haru falls to Maegashira 2 West. And again, Mitakeumi is really the only person that can fit up there because Atami Fuji needs to fall to make room for Meisei. There's no way Atami Fuji stays at his rank with a 7 and 8 because Meisei can easily fit up there, I believe. Mitakeumi, I think he's really the only guy that can go to Maegashira 2 because Gonoyama has to fall. Takayasu can realistically stay the same spot. Tobizaru has to fall. Oho has to fall. So Oho might even only move down to something like Maegashira 6 here. And that looks appropriate. 2.5 rank loss is a little harsh, but we could actually do this a different way. Maybe Oho, Takanosho, and Kotoshoho stay together while Oho falls to Maegashira 5. And I think that really does solidify that Takanosho and Kotoshoho will not go up over Ura and Onosho. So I will take away that note for now. And I know it looks weird because Maegashira 7 West going up to Maegashira 2 compared to the Maegashira 8 East only moving up to Maegashira 6. Well, that doesn't look too fair. But, I mean, there really doesn't look like there's another good way to hash this out, honestly. I know, you people in the comments are probably going to roast me for my picks, but this is what looks like it makes sense, right? This is what looks like makes the most sense. Because when we continue on, Takeru Fuji we already have him falling down to Juryo. Midori Fuji, probably down to somewhere around Maegashira 10. I'll leave him out on the outside here. Nishikigi, not going to fall too much further. He's going to stay below Midori Fuji. Then we have the Mitakyumi, Takanosho, Kotoshoho. And then we have Tamawashi sitting here at Maegashira 9. We have Shodai that could also realistically stay at Maegashira 9, both of them with 7 and 8s. And then in these 4 ranks, we do have a good group of people to put right there. Shonan no Umi up to Maegashira 7. Sada no Umi will leapfrog Kin Bolzan. Kin Bolzan up to Maegashira 8. And then Ichi Yamamoto up to Maegashira 8. That works out perfectly. But now this is where we kind of get into a traffic jam because we also have Ryuden and Oshoma with 10 plus wins. So I was thinking we can slot Ryuden and Oshoma above Tamawashi and Shodai, have them move down 1 rank each, and try to slot these guys in wherever they might be able to fit. We also have Hokuto Fuji staying at roughly the same rank with his 7 and 8. So let's put him at Maegashira 11 on the outside at least. And then we have Chura no Umi and Takara Fuji that need to move up. So something like this looks like it fits. I just copied Chura no Umi twice. So something like this looks like it fits. Now the question is, how harshly will Midori Fuji fall? So let's take a look real quick. Midori Fuji was at Maegashira 6 with a 5 and 10. M6 with a 5 and 10. Anywhere between Maegashira 7, which seems pretty generous, to Maegashira 15, which is very hard. Gagamaru most recently fell to Maegashira 14 in 2011. Kageaki in 2018 fell to Maegashira 12. So it looks like the median is around Maegashira 10, 11, which means Nishikigi will roughly be 1 rank underneath. It's not outside of possibility to have them fall to Maegashira 12. And again, Asanoyama being a straight 0015 with 15 absences is probably going to fall further down the Banzuke than I already measured him. So I think it might be a little harsh to someone like Hokuto Fuji, but to put, actually it fits in quite nicely here. Hokuto Fuji falls from Maegashira 11 to Maegashira 12 East, so only falls a half of a rank to make room for Takara Fuji. And then Midori Fuji and Nishikigi fall down right next to him, which, like we see right here, is on the harsher side, but is, still on the, not at the very end of the bell curve, Still kind of closer to the middle here. So Midori Fuji and Nishikigi falling with a 5 and 10, 6 ranks. Again, a little harsh, but, oh wow, it actually happened to a Kirishima. Not the Kirishima we know, though. But let's try to look for the most recent times that has happened. Hokuseiho fell to Maegashira 11. Shimano Umi fell to Maegashira 9. Tamawashi fell to Maegashira 10. Kageaki to Maegashira 12. Kaisei Gagamaru falling to Maegashira 11. Gagamaru to Maegashira 14. Gagamaru having a rough time at Maegashira 6, apparently. again, it looks like Maegashira 10 and 11 is the norm, but 12 and 13 are not that far away to be an unreasonable demotion. It is an over demotion by a little bit, and it does seem harsh, but it looks like it fits. It looks like it makes sense. Now, the question is, where do we put Asanoyama? Asanoyama 0015 from Komusubi. And again, let's query the Banzuke. I know we just looked it up, but let's do it again. Komusubi 0 wins. We have to look by the most recent 10, 12, 9. The Abi coming back with that 12 and 3 Yusho, funnily enough. But Komusubi being out for injury doesn't look like it happens too often. And well, in Kaio's case, he actually kept his rank. I wonder what happened on the July Banzuke in 97. That Kaio kept his rank at 0015. Very interesting. Someone fill me in the comments section down below if you know why Kaio kept his rank as a Komusubi in 1997. But, I mean, he's gonna fall pretty harshly. And going back, pre-World War II era is where the tournaments look a little more unusual. But, taking from these most recent results, Maegashira 13 doesn't seem like a harsh spot to put him in. Now, we have the Juryo promotions as well as Roga and Toki Hayate. Toki Hayate can survive by the skin of his teeth. Nishiki Fuji, again, I'm going to put him on the outside here because he could realistically be a Juryo demotion, could realistically stay in Juryo by the skin of his teeth if we do something like Roga at 16, Toki Hayate, and Nishiki Fuji at 17. So let's check the Banzuke real quick. Let's query that. Nishiki Fuji at Maegashira 12 with a 5 and 10. Let's see. Out of all these results, it looks like an even chance of falling to Juryo and staying in Maegashira. But some of these ranks don't exist anymore. Maegashira 20 and 19 to be specific. That was back in the 50s, so I think we could disregard these results. But Aoyama survived by the skin of his teeth just last year, going into July. Exact same situation, except that was Maegashira 12 East, falling to Maegashira 17 East. So Nishiki Fuji being Maegashira 12 West might be a little bit harsher, but we do have here in the Takanoyama falling to Maegashira 16, 16, 15 West. So it does look more and more likely that Nishiki Fuji can survive. But the question again is, does Kageaki get promoted or not? And I think that's the real question here. Does the Juryo 5 with an 11 and 4 record get promoted here? And it looks like, wow, even as high as Maegashira 11. But looks like the median says yes, around Maegashira 15. Very small chances of not getting promoted. Oh, even some of these guys with 11 and 4 Yushos aren't getting promoted. But like Oshio, sorry to say. But if we can find the most recent results, Kiribayama, who's now Kirishima, back in 2019 with his 11 and 4 playoff loss, did make it to Maegashira 17 East. On 2017, we have Yutakayama and Asanoyama. Is that the same year? Is that the same tournament? Hold on. No, that was 2019. This is 2017. Yutakayama and Asanoyama and their playoff losses also made it up. Kageaki was nowhere near the Yusho race. So does that affect whether or not he makes it into Juryo? And that's a really good question. Or is it? Because we even have Harunoyama here in 2005 making it to Maegashira 15. I'm not going to regard this Maegashira 22 rank, but Oiteyama in the 60s, the 50s, a little too far back. But even as recently as 1999, Ogi Nishiki, 11 and 4 Yusho, made it only to Juryo 12. Talk about a ripoff, but he still got that 13-2 the next tournament. And then we have Who in the 80s. That's a heck of a name right there. Who made it up to Maegashira 11. Again, I think I want to look at the most recent ones instead. So Keen Bolzon made it to with a Maegashira 14. Kotoeko made it to Maegashira 16. That was back in 2020 and 2023. Kirimayama Kaisei made it back up. So it looks like heavily leaning, especially with recency bias, even going as far back as 2004, and 11-4 from Juryo 5 in the last 20 years has never been denied. And it's not like it would set a new precedent if he was denied, because even this 11-4 Yusho winner got denied, and I kind of want to see those Banzuke to see why. Let's see, 11-4 Ogi Nishiki Juryo Yusho winner, and we can kind of see everyone at the bottom of the Banzuke here got their 8 and 7s. So there wasn't any room for him. Like Daizen fell with a 7 and 8, Ganyu fell because he was out for injury, and then above him was another 11-4 and a 10-5. So he got shafted because everyone at the bottom was winners. But we don't have the same luxury here. A lot of people at the bottom here were losers. So I believe Nishiki Fuji might fall off and make room for Kageaki at the very bottom. I think that is most likely what is going to happen here. And I will stick by that. It is a little harsh on Nishiki Fuji, who, again, if we want to go back and see, just keep going back here. Maegashira 6, 5, and 10. No, that's Maegashira 6. We're looking at Maegashira 12, 5, and 10. Maegashira 12, 5, and 10, going back to the 50s, it looks like mostly an even split. Like I said, it looks like the median is around Juryo 2, because even going to this next page, you know, even as far down as Juryo 6, that's really harsh for Saisu and Chiyo Zakura. But less likely they survive. Again, taking out the Maegashira 19 and even this Maegashira 18, because those don't exist right now. But I think he will fall. Mathematically, he will make room for Kageaki. And then right here, we slot in all those other guys. We could be a little more kind to Roga and Toki Hayate, technically, to fit in Bushozan right here. And then we could do something like Wakataka Kage leapfrogging everybody to be Maegashira 14. And then Endo and Chiyoshoma right next to us, and Maegashira 14. And that works. Roga stays the same position. He could fall to make room for Bushozan, but Bushozan, I think he's going to be at the bottom here with Kageaki. I don't know if Kageaki will leapfrog him there, but that will cost 4 points if you don't guess that one correctly. And then, of course, Wakataka Kage, Endo, Chiyoshoma. I don't think Asanoyama is going to fall any further to make room for Wakataka Kage, because even with scorelines as strong as this, historically, they are not very kind to Juryo promotions. So we can even try to check here. Juryo 6 with 14 and 1 has only happened once before, and Wakano Sato made it up to Maegashira 13. So let's try looking at a 13 and 2. How often does that happen? Less often, but Maegashira 14, they were mostly Yusho winners here, except for Shionoumi in 42. Sorry about that one, dude. But mostly looks like between Maegashira 14, even this poor sucker, Wajima, only up to Juryo 1, my guy. 54th Yokozuna got shafted with his 13 and 2 Juryo Yusho. It even happens to Yokozunas. So, Wakataka Kage with his 14 and 1 Yusho, I do believe he is probably going to sit here at Maegashira 14. We could even make an argument to be above Asanoyama, but he was a lot lower than Endo. I don't believe he's going to fly that much higher than Endo. And I think this shakes out really well, honestly. Like, for as complicated as it looked like at the start, it looks like it shakes out really well. Like, you know, once you sift everything through. Again, over promotion for Mitake Yumi seems to be the only issue here. And even then, you can't call it an under demotion for Wakamoto Haru, because with 4 wins, 11 losses, it's supposed to be a -7, but they are very kind to the men falling out of the sanyaku ranks, so even Maegashira 2 is not that bad of a drop. Atami Fuji will fall down, probably stay Maegashira 1. Shin Komusubi Hiradoumi, very strong, very underrated in his own right. He's been flying under the radar. He had a good tournament from Maegashira 2. If we want to take a look at that, finishing 5 straight wins. Of course, not doing well against the Ozeki, and that's probably why he was under the radar, but a solid tournament for him. Keep an eye on Hiradoumi, 24 years old, only been in sumo since 2016. And again, I don't really see any other issues on this Banzuke. Like, the top was difficult because it's a question of how far will Gonoyama fall? How far will Tobizaru fall? Do Uda and Onosho even fall? And because the winning records from the middle here were not very strong, they are not going to displace anybody. Now, if Takanosho and Koto Shoho got 10 and 5s, I would say, yeah, put them up to Maegashira 2 and bump everybody else down. But because their records were not strong enough to displace anybody above them, especially someone like Takayasu with a 7 and 8 fighting through injury, you know, I don't think he's going to fall. If he does fall, I will be surprised. If he does fall, maybe it's Gonoyama only falling a half of a rank, and because Takayasu was absent, they might make him fall. But even then, they like Takayasu. Takayasu, Gonoyama, coin flip. Maybe that might be the biggest question right here. Tobizaru falling a half of a rank, Gonoyama falling a full rank, Oho falling a rank and a half. It's a little inconsistent with those 6 and 9s. But again, I don't think Uda and Onosho will be displaced. And if they are, Oho slots in right above them. So we could even see something like Oho above Uda and Onosho, who all fall a half of a rank, basically. Like, we could see something like this. But I do believe, because Oho had a stronger losing record right next to Uda, who had a 7 and 8. I don't know if there are more recent examples we could look at here, actually. Let's go back to some of my other Guess the Banzukes and see if we can find a 7 and 8 right next to a 6 and 9 and see what happened there. So even as recently as last Banzuke, Meisei and Oho. Meisei did fall beneath Oho, and Oho fell 1 rank, Meisei fell the full 3 on the actual Banzuke. So that's a good example right there. Let's see if there's another one. Keen Bolzon with a 6 and 9 fell below Tamawashi. Yep, Keen Bolzon fell below Tamawashi. Let's go back to March. Let's see. Tobizaru stayed at Maegashira 4 with his 7 and 8. Keen Bolzon, I predicted him to stay at Maegashira 6, but he fell to Maegashira 7 to make room for some of the guys falling above him. Not exactly a good example anywhere on this one. January, if we want to go back. Shonan no Umi and Hokuseiho with their 7 and 8s were probably displaced by all of these winners. Hokuseiho fell a rank over there, so we can kind of see that. But I'm looking for here, Shodai compared to Tobizaru. Shodai, Maegashira 2, 6 and 9, Tobizaru 7 and 8. I predicted Shodai to fall next to Tobizaru, and they did, but Shodai did indeed fall below Tobizaru. So in those recent results, the 6 and 9 will go below the 7 and 8s. Therefore, Oho will fall below Uda and Onosho. I do believe that will be 100% guaranteed. After that, filling in from Maegashira 6, we have Takanosho and Koto Shouho, both moving up 2 ranks. I think that's very fair, because Takeru Fuji, Midori Fuji, and Nishikigi will all be falling way too far. Everyone else above that rank is filling in the slots as they need to. Asanoyama is really the only guy falling far out of the joy, which makes room for the likes of, Oho to stay up there, for Wakamoto Haru to stay up there. And like we were saying earlier, the only real questionable gap was Mitakeyumi at first. And Mitakeyumi being this over promoted compared to guys that were 1 rank below, it looks very inappropriate. But realistically, that's the only thing they could do, because Gonoyama has to fall, because Wakamoto Haru has to go somewhere, and if he falls below Gonoyama, well, now Gonoyama can't fall. And there's no way Takanosho and Koto Shouho will be promoted above someone like Wakamoto Haru, like Gonoyama, and I would go so far as to say even like Tobizaru with a 6 and 9 from Maegashira 3. There's no way they're going to be trading places. So I think like the top starting from Maegashira 5, this is likely not their exact positions set in stone, but this is where I believe this section basically begins. Oho will be the anchor at the bottom, Onosho, Uda above, and then wherever Gonoyama, Takayasu falls, maybe they punish Atami Fuji a little bit more, but I believe Mitakeyumi breaks through that because there's no one else to fill the spot. If Asanoyama was here, it would be a lot easier, because then Asanoyama would be one of those guys up there. Like if Asanoyama got a 5 and 10, I'd put him at Maegashira 5 West instead, and Takanosho Koto Shouho would still be Maegashira 6, I believe. But because he was absent, that does make it a little more difficult. And then, starting this next section, we have the winners from the middle and bottom of the Banzuke. Takanosho, Koto Shouho, Shonan no Umi, Sada no Umi. Shonan no Umi, I don't believe will leapfrog Takanosho and Koto Shouho. A 9 and 6 from Maegashira 10 will probably not be above an 8 and 7 from 2 ranks higher. We can go back and see if that will hold true. Mitakeyumi leapfrogging Koto Shouho back from January to March does actually happen, as you can see on the behind my head here. Mitakeyumi over Koto Shouho. If we want to go like Shonan no Umi, Sada no Umi, Shonan no Umi leapfrogs Sada no Umi because they're so close, but Shonan no Umi does not leapfrog Koto Shouho. Shonan no Umi stays a rank below at Maegashira 10, or 2 ranks below rather. So Shonan no Umi being, 2 ranks below Shodai even, we can compare that. Shonan no Umi, he's a half of a rank below Shodai on the actual Banzuke. Whereas I predicted him to leapfrog him, which I was wrong about. Going back to March, let me get out of the way again. We have a bunch of, like Meisei leapfrogging Hirata Umi, Tsurugisho leapfrogging Tamawashi. Those were expected. Onosho not going to leapfrog Takanosho. Takanosho going to leapfrog everyone. This doesn't look like a good example, Banzuke. But here, Asanoyama leapfrogging Nishikigi possibly. Maegashira 7 to 5. And Asanoyama, if I can find their names here, Asanoyama did not leapfrog Nishikigi. Nishikigi actually went up to Komusubi because this was a really weird tournament, a situation where that was gonna happen there. They just had to fill out some spots on the Banzuke. But from 2 ranks lower, Asanoyama with 9 wins does not leapfrog Nishikigi again. So here, again, Shonan no Umi with 9 and 6 is not going to leapfrog someone 2 ranks higher than him. So I do believe this is how it's going to shake out. Then we have Sada no Umi leapfrogging Kinbozan because he has a 9 and 6 from a half of a rank lower. That does happen. Then we have Kinbozan right below. Ichi Yamamoto. Right below, again, an 8 and 7. But you could argue that Ryuden and Oshoma will leapfrog with their own 10 and 5s. 9 and 6 does not go over the head of Ichi Yamamoto here, but I do believe it will happen here. Ryuden and Oshoma going above Ichi Yamamoto's head here. It makes sense, and mathematically is a little bit of an over promotion for Ryuden and Oshoma, but it works. Ichi Yamamoto only 2 ranks ahead, got an 8 and 7, while these guys got 10 and 5s. Oshoma, even the special prize. I don't know if the special prize will factor into it, but let's see if there are other examples we can see. Not from May. From March. Let's see. March. We can kind of take a guess with March here. Like Onosato, 11 and 4. Does he leapfrog Tamawashi? And if we want to take a look, Onosato, where did he fall? To Maegashira 5 did leapfrog Tamawashi, who had an 8 and 7 from much higher. Onosho from Maegashira 14, did he leapfrog Tamawashi? Onosho did not with his 10 and 5. So this isn't the best example I'm looking for, but Tamawashi was also like 5 ranks higher to begin with, but he was right on his heels. Here, let's see. Ryuden over Kinbozan. Kinbozan up to Maegashira 7. Ryuden at Maegashira 10 with his 10 and 5. And Ryuden went up to Maegashira 5, while Kinbozan went up to Maegashira 6. So in this case, Ryuden did leapfrog with his 10 and 5. So I think in this case, Ryuden will once again leapfrog Ichi Yamamoto. Oshoma will be right behind him because they both got a 10 and 5 from right next to each other. And Ichi Yamamoto will fall below that, which is still a fair promotion for Ichi Yamamoto. Plus 3 off of an 8 and 7, that's fine. So I think this fits in really well. Then we have Tamawashi and Shodai. Tamawashi and Shodai with their 7 and 8. Both of them falling 1 rank to make room for all of these winners. That makes the most sense, I believe. And then right below that, Takeda Fuji is too low to leapfrog Churano Umi, so Churano Umi will stay above him. And because Hokuto Fuji, or rather, because Nishiki Fuji got a strong enough losing record, he falls out. The real issue, I think, is Hokuto Fuji. It looks a little awkward because there is an extra Sekiwake slot pushing them down, but Hokuto Fuji only falls from Maegashira 11 West to Maegashira 12 East. Very, very fair demotion for someone with only, that 1 rank. You could maybe make an argument that Hokuto Fuji stays in his rank and Takeda Fuji only moves up to Maegashira 12. And now that I'm thinking of it, I could also see that, because we do have a lot of guys at 7 and 8 that are keeping rank. Takayasu, Uda, Onosho. And to indicate that, I think I'll highlight them yellow or something. So I'll highlight them this gold color. Tamawashi and Shodai losing rank here. And then also Roga and Hokuto Fuji, I will also color them gold to indicate that they are staying the same rank. But it looks like it works. Again, the not a big over demotion, but another over demotion is on Midori Fuji's shoulders. And you could realistically put Midori Fuji where Hokuto Fuji is. Move down Takeda Fuji, switch them around. So there might be a kerfluffle here at Maegashira 11-12. Does Midori Fuji fall that far? Does Midori Fuji negative leapfrog, backwards? Does the 5 and 10 fall lower than Shodai and Tamawashi's 7 and 8s? Let's try to go back and see if there is a similar situation. Right here, Maegashira 3, Takanosho 5 and 10, Maegashira 7, Tamawashi 7 and 8, and in the actual Banzuke, Takanosho is still above Tamawashi here. Midori Fuji is a little bit lower. Maegashira 6 to Tamawashi and Shodai. So they're they're separated by 3 ranks, whereas here they were separated by 4, and Takanosho was within the joy. So let's try to find a more appropriate comparison. Let's go back to, here we go, Shonna no Umi and Mitake Umi and Sada no Umi. So let's try to take a look at this. So Shonna no Umi, a 4 and 11. Mitake Umi and Sada no Umi both had 6 and 9s. Shonna no Umi fell below, or no, hold on. Let me try to see. Sada no Umi and Mitake Umi. Shonna no Umi did indeed fall below Mitake Umi and Sada no Umi in this case. So that 4 and 11 was strong enough to put him even lower than these 6 and 9s. But I would like to see if I can find a 5 and 10 to compare it to. Endo compared to Tomokaze, that's too many degrees of separation right there. That's too far down. Oho right here, but no one. Oho compared to Takara Fuji, that's still a little too low. But let's see. Oho with his 5 and 10 from Maegashira 7. Takara Fuji 7 and 8 from Maegashira 12. Oho fell right above him at Maegashira 12. So I was looking for something a little bit closer, but I think that does kind of lend to my idea here that Midori Fuji will indeed fall below Tamawashi and Shodai at the very least. Chura no Umi with his 8 and 7 from Maegashira 13 could realistically, oops, I accidentally erased that name. We could realistically see something like this, where Midori Fuji falls to Maegashira 11 and Hokuto Fuji does fall a half of a rank, and I think that's fair as well. Chura no Umi with his 8 and 7 compared to Midori Fuji's 5 and 10. A 5 and 10 from Maegashira 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 ranks lower, 8 and 7. Does an 8 ranks lower, 8 and 7 leapfrog a 5 and 10? So let's see. Takanosho compared to Shodai and Koto Shoho in the previous Banzuke. Takanosho stays above Shodai and Koto Shoho in this situation. So taking just from the last Banzuke, again, it is Maegashira 3. They are a little bit easier on the 5 and 10s from there. So let's go back a little bit further. Like a 5 and 10 Oho compared to the 8 and 7 Sada no Umi. Oho does fall below Sada no Umi here. Let's see. 5 and 10 Hirado Umi and Hokuseiho we can compare to the 9 and 6 Takara Fuji and the 8 and 7 Koto Eiko from back in September of 23, or going into September of 2023. So we have Hirado Umi and Hokuseiho falling to Maegashira 8 and 11. So although they were 1 rank apart, let's compare to Hokuseiho, who fell to Maegashira 11. Maegashira 11 compared to, Koto Eiko obviously moves up over that, but what about Takara Fuji from Maegashira 15? Takara Fuji was below Hokuseiho here. So I think that does help my case a little bit in putting Midori Fuji at Maegashira 11, and Chura no Umi and Takara Fuji will not go over him. Then we have Hokuto Fuji falling down a half of a rank to make room for Chura no Umi. That's fair. That is very fair, I think. And then Takara Fuji to Maegashira 12. Then we have, it is harsh on Nishikigi, who, again, Midori Fuji, almost a similar situation as to what we just saw. Nishikigi, a half of a rank lower than Midori Fuji, falling further than Midori Fuji. It does seem harsh, but if we can go back to that September 23 Banzuke, it does seem harsh, but Hirado Umi was 1 rank above Hokuseiho in a similar situation, and Hirado Umi fell much higher, probably more due to how the math worked out. But I thought Hirado Umi was going to fall all the way down to Maegashira 12 as well. Hirado Umi not doing that. So a little interesting in what might happen, what could occur. Let's go back to the last year, see if we have any better comparisons to make, and it doesn't look like we do. 5 and 10 Meisei compared to like Kotoeko Dai Shouho, 5 and 10 Meisei. Meisei fell to Maegashira 6, so way saved by the bell for Meisei. We might be a little harsh on Nishikigi here. So we could slot him in at Maegashira 11 and whoopsies. So we could slot Nishikigi above. I've Takeda Fuji down there. Hokuto Fuji falls only 1 rank. Shurano Umi gets shafted a little bit with his 8 and 7 only moving him up 1.5 ranks, which again, that's not too far outside of the wheelhouse. It's still a promotion. It's not a very big promotion, but it's we have to make room for Midori Fuji and Nishikigi. And I think this is as appropriate as it will be for their falls. They both will fall 4.5 ranks with their 5 and 10s from very similar ranks. Because in our other examples, we saw a Maegashira 3, 5 and 10, a Maegashira 4, 5 and 10, which those are technically considered within the Makuuchi Joy. And those were fighting, sanyaku guys. So their matches were much tougher. Really, this is another big question mark here. Midori Fuji, Nishikigi, do they fall to Maegashira 11 or do they get demoted even harder? Which I don't think they will be. It is fair to Hokuto Fuji to fall 1 rank. It is a little unfair for Chirano Umi to only move up 1.5 ranks, but it's not that far away from what actually happens in countless other times. Let's see, Maegashira 13, 8 and 7, and we see as high as Maegashira 5 back in the 30s and even as recently as 2000, but I believe that was a very strange Banzuke. But if we want to look at even the lowest results, there's a situation where a dude got demoted. What the hell? In 42. But so a very few cases of guys being only promoted 1/2 rank. Maegashira 12 is on that further end of the bell curve where it looks like, we're looking at 200. The median is Maegashira 10. So to be at Maegashira 12 is a bit of a snub, but again, it's not that far from what could be expected. Ichi no Jo, 8 and 7 from Maegashira 13 West up to Maegashira 12 East. Gagamaru, Maegashira 13 West, 8 and 7 up to Maegashira 12 East. Asanowaka, these are names that we kind of know and recognize. Futagodake, Maegashira 13 in 67. So, it looks a little unfair. Chiyo Tairyu, even Maegashira 13 East only went up 1 rank to Maegashira 12 for Chiyo Tairyu, Sumo Elvis, for those of you who remember him. So, I'm really trying to make the case that Churano Umi is not getting snubbed that hard. Sure, it's rough when he could be going as high as, Maegashira 7, 8, 9 in history, but the Banzuke does not help him this time around. There are a lot of guys in the middle that did not have strong enough losing records to fall below him, and there are a lot of guys in the middle that also had winning records, so he can't go that high. And again, the real question is do Midori Fuji and Nishikigi get demoted harder? They could realistically fall 1 more 1/2 rank, so Churano Umi goes above them, and then Midori Fuji, then Nishikigi, then Hokuto Fuji. That could be the situation we find ourselves in, but I want to try to keep this simple, keep it like it is right here. I think the Banzuke looks great. I know you guys are going to have a lot of rough words for me in the comments, and as long as I make sure I don't have someone listed twice, I do believe this is how it's going to fall. And then, of course, the other big question at the bottom, Kageyaki, Nishiki Fuji, coin flip. Does Nishiki Fuji's 5 and 10 get him demoted? I think Kageyaki moves back up. I think it happens. It happens a lot. It has not happened in the last 20 years that an 11 and 4 from Maegashira or from Juryo 5 gets snubbed, and it works out. Mathematically, it works out. Nishiki Fuji can and will, I think, fall to the Juryo division. And other than that, this looks like a really clean Banzuke. It is unfortunate that Takeru Fuji will be falling because of his 0015, and even if he fought all 15 of those matches, it just works out mathematically that he will fall more than 10 ranks out of the top division into Juryo, which is a shame, but that is how the cookie is going to crumble. Asanoyama is another question mark. I don't know if they're going to have him fall further, and him as well, I think, could maybe displace Churanoumi even, but I think Takara Fuji and Churanoumi will be above him, but again, I don't know, because he was 0015, 15 absences due to injury. I don't know how hard they're going to punish Asanoyama. So we can write down here, is Asanoyama over demoted? But if he is, then Churanoumi gets snubbed. Because if Asanoyama falls above even Tamawashi, then, you know, Tamawashi and Shodai, okay, they lose a rank and a half for 7 and 8. That's, again, not far outside of the wheelhouse. We've seen that kind of thing before. But then, really, the person getting punished most for moving down another half of a rank is Churanoumi, who only moves up 1 rank with his 8 and 7. And I think that's the question here. Is Asanoyama above or below Churanoumi? I want to put him below because it looks better, I think. The math works out a little bit better. I don't think Hokuto Fuji or Tamawashi or Shodai will move down more than 1 rank from their 7 and 8s. I think Midori Fuji and Nishikigi moving down the full 5 ranks is a little harsh, but again, works mathematically. But again, they're not going to fall that far, I don't think. So the real question is, do they slightly over-demote and under-promote a bunch of people to save Asanoyama, or do they just say, too bad, so sad, you were out for injury, and Asanoyama's a Maegashira 13? It's really hard to say, but that is the final question I'm going to leave you guys with, because it is getting closer to the time I have to get ready to start going to church, and I do want to upload this sometime today. So to stop myself from talking even longer, I'm going to end it here. I, again, do have to fact check how the Ozeki and Sekiwake will fall. Kirishima Kadoban. I know he is supposed to occupy the lowest Sekiwake spot when he is demoted, but I don't know if that's going to be Sekiwake West or East. And I also don't know if Takakeisho is going to be West or East, because he was out for injury as well. He, only fought 1 match and lost. So I don't know which side of the Banzuke they're going to fall on. If you do know, let me know in the comments down below. And I do want to thank you all for watching this video, this presentation of my guesses of the Banzuke guessing game. I don't have too much else to add, except that, to reiterate, we do only have 1 copyright strike on YouTube right now. So we will be continuing as normal as far as the YouTube goes, until we get that 2nd copyright strike, and I will have to fall back to my backup channel, my variety channel, Leo Dickinson VT. The link will be in the description down below if you wanted to give that a subscribe anyway. I am almost at 500 subscribers on that channel, and I do need more watch hours, so if you're into EU4 content and other fun variety content, such as learning Chinese history through Dynasty Warriors 5, then be sure to give that a subscribe and watch a bunch of my videos so I can also get YouTube partner on that account as well. As for an update when it comes to the Twitch side, we were once again banned for running reruns over on Twitch, but that was resolved. But I am still trying to prepare my backup channels for being ready just in case Twitch goes down again. I do believe we are still under attack from some trolls. It could be other agents, I don't know, but Twitch seems to be on our side because the bans keep getting overturned. So that is an update on that end, and once again, I thank you for watching this video. Let me know what your guesses are in the comments down below, and I know for a fact probably most of you are going to have better guesses than me, because historically, I am very bad at the Banzuke guessing game. Last time I scored high was multiple years ago. But that'll be it from us over here. Be sure to look forward to more 15-day videos the upcoming week.